Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Only Football Tonight. Kyle and I are going to recap week 11. We're then going to move on to our running backs of the week and then to one of our favorite segments, our top five. And then we're going to end it off the chives with Kyle. Let's get it.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Only Football Podcast. My name is Kyle, and that's Rick.
I'm Rick, that's Kyle.
And we are going to be going over a wild week 11 that had a lot of teams that were actually predicted to win the game. There was not a great amount of underdogs that won, even though we just saw one that happened not too long ago, maybe an hour ago. But we're actually going to start on the exact opposite side of the spectrum, meaning we're going to be talking to Rick about the Cowboys going in and destroying the Panthers. This is just brutal. I put it on the bottom, so feel free to read it when you guys have time. The Cowboys' whole thing about beating bad teams, it's about to come to an end. Not because they're going to lose, but because they're about to start playing a lot of good teams on their own. So the Cowboys, a really impressive win. I think everybody's wondering, can this carry over to some of the tougher opponents? Rick, what's your takeaway from this besides that the Panthers suck?
Yeah, the Panthers are they're just absolute
dog shit.
And the Cowboys are very good at beating up on bad teams. The Cowboys have won 4 of their last 5 games. Dak Prescott threw for 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, one of them to CeeDee Lamb. Pollard rushed for a score and 61 yards. This team was very good offensively. Dak really didn't have to do much in this game because Deron Bland, cornerback for the Cowboys defense, has tied an NFL record for his 4th pick 6 of the season. That is tied for the most in a season.
Wow.
So can he break it this year? Can he create the record, the brand new record in the NFL? We'll see. But look, this Cowboys team, man, they whooped on the fucking Panthers, dude. They were like, that Simpsons meme where Homer's like beating up the Hamburglar and the kid's like, stop, he's already dead. That's exactly what happened here with the Cowboys. They took care of business like he got up there. The Panthers on the other side, dude, they look bad. Bryce Young threw his 3rd pick six in as many games. He fumbled. He only threw for 123 yards. He was sacked 7 times, and I think Micah Parsons had about 2.5 of those sacks. Frank Reich had no answer for this defense, and he's the play caller. And he took the play calling duties back, and this is what you get. So not good at all for the Panthers. They are dog shit.
Yeah, they're definitely absolute, unequivocally dog shit. And it's not the Panthers season. That's great for the Bears. They're going to get to capitalize on that draft pick. And the Cowboys, though, going on in their next couple of weeks here, they're going to be playing some tough games. And
yeah.
It's kind of like, all right, push is coming to shove. Now you got to play the Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, and Lions. We're going to know one way or another by the end of this next 5-game stretch. We're going to know exactly who the Cowboys are. But you got to always keep in mind that all you can do is win the games that are on the schedule. Okay.
Yeah.
The Panthers are 1-10. They're the worst team in the NFL. And that includes the Panthers. And it's still the NFL. So, I mean, to think that you're just expected to go out and demolish bad teams, to me, that makes you unequivocally a good team. If
Mhm.
we can come to expect the Cowboys to dismantle bad teams, that means the Cowboys aren't a bad team. It means that
Yeah.
they're not an average team. It
Yeah.
means that the Cowboys are a freaking good team. And I'm just happy that we got some games coming up where the Cowboys can maybe prove something to the NFL or the people that say, yeah, the Cowboys talk to me when they beat the Eagles or the 49ers. Yeah, we know that they can beat the Panthers,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, man. You beat the teams that you have on the schedule. The Cowboys were able to do that. 4-1. 4-1 since that dismantling from the 49ers. The Cowboys took that loss and said bet. And they bet on themselves, and this is where they're at, 4-1.
And that's where they're at. Like you said, Browns, they're in a good place. They've won 5 of their last half dozen games. That's 6 for you guys that don't do math. That is pretty damn good. Dorian Thompson Robinson definitely I don't want to say he did great. Anytime you score 13 points, you're just a guy. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But I will say, and now might be a good time to introduce this. So Joe Flacco was signed to the practice squad today. That's a move that you make because you don't want to be like the Jets, right? The Jets they tried everything they could to double down on Zach Wilson, to give him the vote of confidence. Because they really believe like, hey, maybe this guy will play more special if he thinks that we believe in him, which they're right. That is totally right. On the other hand, Cleveland's got a really good defense, just like the Jets have a really good defense. And Cleveland's saying, we're not going to stick around with mediocre. I mean, mediocre's fine, but if it goes below mediocre, we need to have a plan because this defense is too good to waste. So they call Joe Flacco. They get him on the practice squad. And that is the insurance policy for Dorian Thompson Robinson. But that just tells me that Cleveland thinks that they're too good of a defense to throw the season away. And I agree with them.
Yeah, I like this move, and you bring up a great point, bringing up the comparison with the Jets. You don't want to be Robert Saleh at that podium saying, I've got nothing for you. I've got no answers as to why he's starting, why Zach Wilson is starting. In this case, why Dorian Thompson Robinson is starting. I will give credit to Dorian Thompson Robinson. The man with 3 names did enough for 3 points there to win the game at the end against the Steelers. He was able to complete 4 straight passes for 39 yards. He set up Hopkins, this kicker, for a 34-yard field goal with 2 seconds left. Not great what he did in the game. Again, only 13 points scored, and I think the other one was a touchdown from I think it was like Ford, Jerome Ford, their running back. So he didn't do really anything special, but the thing is, he won his first start as an NFL starter in this league, and he did it with just enough to get their kicker, the Browns kicker, which he's doing really well, by the way, in field goal range to take the dub. So he did enough. The Steelers, God, man, last year with Pickett, you look at what he did, you saw the scuffles he was getting in, and you're like, this guy is Pittsburgh. This guy is tough. This guy is gritty. This guy wants to win. This guy's got weapons. Like, we've got our guy. And then this year, you get to this year and you're like, this fucking sucks, man. Kenny Pickett may not be the guy. He is just having a rough go right now. And a lot of the complaints have been to Matt Canada. Maybe that is right. We have said it on this show that Matt Canada has been a bad offensive coordinator. Maybe Kenny Pickett is just a bad quarterback too. Maybe they are going to be in the market for a quarterback soon, because with what we've seen out there from Kenny Pickett, he got outdueled by Dorian Thompson Robinson. You know what I mean? Like, you're a second-year quarterback and you were a high draft pick, comparably so, and you got outdueled by this guy who's making his first NFL start and won his first NFL start. Steelers offense was outgained for the 10th straight game. They punted the ball 9 times. Jaylen Warren was the only spark for this Steelers team. He had 129 yards total. He had a 74-yard touchdown run or pass, whatever it was. That was the longest run the Steelers have had since 2014.
Wow. Are you kidding me?
That was the longest run the Steelers have had since 2014.
Oh my God.
So while that's a lot, it's crazy to think that's been about a decade ago now. So the Steelers defense did enough, I think, in my opinion, to earn a win, but their offense just cannot do anything. It sucks. It sucks to see. It's almost like watching Bears football, which we'll get into in a bit.
Yeah, I think the Browns are right now on a lot of people's power rankings. They're around 9-10, which when you consider that they lost their franchise quarterback, they didn't fall that far. That is not too far to go, and that just tells you how much people believe in defense, right? Especially in a year where scoring's down. You don't need to score 30 this year to win. You need to score 21 to 24. And it's kind of cool. Like, I think a lot of people are really enjoying that because obviously the rules are favoring the offense, but it's the teams like Cleveland that are going to be really hard to beat because of that defense. It's hard to score points on them. And if you're telling me that you only need 13 points for a dub, that's really doable. 2 field goals and maybe a touchdown at some point. Yeah. Like that, I could understand why they bring in Joe Flacco. So I think the Browns game against Denver next week is very interesting. And I think it's like two teams that are kind of similar in a way. They're winning their football games right now. Denver 4, them 5 of 6. I would say Cleveland probably feels like they have the advantage with that defense. But it makes up for a good game. One of these two teams is going to prove something by winning. That's for sure.
Yeah. And, the Browns, again, without their quarterback, bringing in Joe Flacco, knowing that they still have a shot at this division, even though the Ravens have been playing pretty damn well, especially recently, they still have a damn good shot at this division.
For sure. And Rick, I hate to do this to you.
Oh, God.
But I have to.
Guys, holy shit. We are a resilient team, gentlemen. We are resilient. We're going to find a way to win. They freaking came out and they fought us, but we fought harder. And we went and got the win. That's outstanding. That's division win number 2. I got one game ball. All right, hey, listen, to make the rally that we did and to come back, man, we needed some stops. We get the stops. Offense, we go down, we strike. We need another stop, we get the stop. Hutch, where you at, brother?
I hate you, Kyle. I hate you.
Unfortunately, what we are going to be talking about right here, we're talking about the Detroit Lions, who had the win sealed up. No, that was the Bears that had the win sealed up, and they fucking blew it. And I'm going to let you rant about this because this is your team. This is your world. You're the one going through all these emotions. This is your story to tell, brother.
For 3 quarters, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds, the Bears were winning this game. I want you guys to just have that in your mind. For 3 quarters, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds, the Bears are winning this game. And then what happens? I said it. I posted it on Twitter. Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy played chicken shit football. They played not to lose. They played 3rd down and 7 on a shotgun, run it up the middle. That's the football. That's the type of football that Matt Eberflus has been playing or played and has been playing now for over a season and a half. That's exactly what the Bears did. The Bears defense played outstanding for 3 quarters, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds. And Matt Eberflus, by the way, the guy who's running the defense now, could not contain Jared Goff, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, Reynolds. Any of these guys could not contain in the last 4.5 minutes. You're kidding me, right? And it all goes back to the last offensive drive. No, sorry, the second to last offensive drive that the Bears had, where you run it up the gut for maybe a yard twice. You go for a long deep ball that wasn't going to get completed. 4.5 minutes left. You punt the fucking ball. and they're able to get a touchdown. They're able to get another touchdown. Chicken shit football by Matt Eberflus and the Bears and Luke Getsy. I don't know what else I can say about this game, man, that I haven't already said. Real time, I was just as shocked as everybody, and Kyle knew it. When I told him, I was like, how are they running on a 3rd and 7, a shotgun running back draw? This play makes no sense. It makes 0 sense. You were up 2 scores and you failed. That's insanity to me. With 4.5 minutes left, the next gen stats probably had the Bears winning percentage at like 90% at one point, 70%, whatever it may have been. And Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy played chicken shit football. Now, Justin Fields returned. He looked good. He had a touchdown pass to DJ Moore, which was awesome. Khalil Herbert also returned in this game. We had 3 interceptions of Jared Goff, Tremaine Edmonds, the defense. I think, did Jalen Johnson pick one off? I can't remember exactly who the other 2 were that intercepted the ball. Regardless, the Bears defense, again, played well for 3 quarters, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds. Again, we talked about Justin Fields and the offense and how well they did. They didn't have a stellar game, but they were able to score. They were able to get scores. The Lions, on the other hand, man, they came out really rough. But just like I said in our predictions episode, and Kyle remembers this, and I hope a few of you guys do, I called it. I'm going to toot my own horn. I don't care. I called it. David Montgomery was going to have the touchdown that sealed the win for the Lions, and that's exactly what happened. With a little under a minute, 45 left, they hand the ball off to David Montgomery, and they were like inside the 5. He runs it in for a touchdown, score. They go up by 2 or 3, I believe. Bears come out. Justin Fields drops back. Aiden Hutchinson strip sack. Darnell Wright tried to pick up the ball. Instead, as he's running to pick it up, kicks it to the back of the end zone for a safety. They punt the ball back to the Lions. Game over is what it is. Matt Eberflus, by the way, winless against the NFC North. 0 wins, Kyle. Over a season and a half, and he's got 0 wins.
Oh my God.
0 wins. Bad. Matt Nagy had more wins in the division. So this is dog shit, chicken shit football by Matt Eberflus. He's going to be gone at the end of the season. I don't even care if he's gone by this season. He's going to be gone. He looks like shit. He's a fucking coward coach. I'm done.
I look at this a little bit different because I'm not a fan of the Bears. I think the loss reminded me of the Patriots winning against the Falcons in the Super Bowl. Just like, we're going to get super conservative, and then we're going to do that knowing that we're playing a team that will punish us if we do not get points. Like, you're right. They didn't put the foot on the gas. They didn't care. And the other way I look at this game is I believe that Justin Fields played a good game. And we have to remember that for most people, Detroit is in the top 3 of everyone's power rankings. Detroit played a bad game, but the Bears forced the bad game. Like, it's never just, the Detroit play. It's not a thing. Like, the Bears came to play, and they made Detroit look like they were unprepared. And Detroit should have lost this game. They ended up winning at the end because of some coaching decisions and the inability to close. But I definitely feel inspired that as soon as we get our starting quarter, or not we, but for you, as soon as Justin Fields comes back out in the field and our franchise quarterback takes the field, I'm disappointed that we didn't close because we were beating the NFL's best team, a top 3 team. And I think that perspective has to stay in a little bit, because I do think Justin Fields is playing for his job with the type of draft pick that the Bears are about to get. Justin 100%. Fields needs to prove that he can stay healthy for the rest of the season. And if they lose, they're going to have to lose to a team like Detroit. And that streak's going to have to end against the NFC North.
Yeah, and Aiden Hutchinson with that very clutch strip sack there at the end to basically seal the win, pretty much, right? Game ball went to him, as you guys saw in the video. So great job by him, just overpowered Darnell right there on the right side of the line. Justin Fields playing for his job for sure. It's crazy how that's a thing now, but is what it is. Bears suck.
Time flies if you're an Ohio State quarterback.
Yeah, it does.
Oh man. All right. Well, our next game is man, I'm really, really excited to bring this up because you and I disagreed about this one and I came out on the winning side, but maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I shouldn't have come out on the fucking winning side. I don't know. You guys tell me.
Herbert, there's the pump. Johnston can't pull it in. It hit him in the hands at the 35 of Green Bay.
I don't know. You guys tell me what I should think about this game. I'll tell you my instant reaction is that Jordan Love's getting better. And look around for a second. Kenny Pickett, Jordan Love, two quarterbacks that you don't really have a ton of confidence in. One of them's getting better. The other one isn't. Okay, well, let's see what connections we can make. Matt LaFleur, offensive coach. Mike Tomlin, defensive coach. Simple. Brock Purdy, a lot of success. Just a guy, right? He was just a guy for a while.
Yep.
Kyle Shanahan, doing well. Tua, Brian Flores can't get it going. Mike McDaniel, all of a sudden, he looks really good. This is a common theme. When you have a young quarterback, you need an offensive guy. Look at the Bears, unable to close. Eberflus, defense. It's like it's everywhere. And if you're ignoring it at this point, just catch up, man. Defense is never going to be what you wanted out of your head coach. It's just not. The NFL has the rules and everything trending a certain way. It's like get with it or stop, because everywhere you look, you just see mediocre quarterbacks that are getting no help from these defensive coaches. By the way, defensive coaches I got a lot of respect for, like Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin, but look at Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett. Is that a coincidence? Matt Eberflus with and then I look at Jordan Love and I'm like, it reminds me that Matt LaFleur is a really good offensive coordinator because he is adapting to what Love can do. Love threw for 322 yards, 8 yards an attempt, getting the ball downfield. The Chargers passing defense is absolute dog shit. But you got to give credit where it's due. Chargers came in, probably most people thought were the better team, came into Lambeau, left with an L, and Jordan Love has a career game.
Yeah, I got to give credit to Jordan Love here. He had a really good game against this really shitty Chargers defense, guys. He threw for 322 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interception. His second touchdown came with 2:33 left in the game to Dubs. And this is the first time a Packers quarterback has thrown for over 300 yards since Rodgers in 2021. So let that sink in. Not since 2021 and Aaron Rodgers has there been a Packers quarterback that has thrown for over 300 yards. We had a lot of injuries in this game as well. We had Bosa carted off. We had Aaron Jones carted off. But yeah, Romeo Doubs, I think Christian Watson also had a touchdown, I believe, if not there was a rushing touchdown. Yeah, it was Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. They both had touchdowns in this game. Again, building that confidence for Jordan Love. He had his best game. And Kyle, I said it. Maybe you didn't hear it. This is the first time a Packers quarterback throws for over 300 yards since Rodgers in 2021. That's two full seasons. That's two full seasons. So on the Chargers side, wow. You know what? I'm going to take back my statement. Justin Herbert, not his fault. Do you know how many drops they had? They had stupid amount of drops. Kyle just played the worst one. You had Keenan Allen dropping the ball. You had Johnson dropping the ball. Eckler had a fumble. Like this team is letting Justin Herbert down from being one of the top quarterbacks in this league, and the team down for taking away wins. They are letting him down week after week. Like that Johnston one. We just watched Monday Night Football with Marquez Valdes-Scantling dropping that one in the touchdown. And Tyreek Hill actually had an interesting tweet. He said, everybody thinks it's easy in the night with those lights. Okay, I'll give him that much. But God, those drops are bad because they put it right in the money. Justin Herbert put it right in the money. Quinn Johnson drops it. The defense also, God, dude, they suck. And we have talked about how bad the defense has been. You just talked about Staley and his defensive mindedness being the head coach, and these defenses are just letting up these wins just slip away. So Staley had a very, very good quote, which I think we have the video on, so we'll play it here in a bit. But the Chargers cannot get out of their own way.
Yeah, Chargers can't get out of their own way, and a lot of the heat's coming from Staley because at the end of the day, man, there's just too much talent on this Chargers team. Like I look around and I'm like, how is this team not like a Super Bowl favorite?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking like Super Bowl. Wait a minute, this team's like, what are they right now? 4-6, 4-7.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like forget about Super Bowls. This team is going to miss the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's crazy. And, you got Staley and a lot of people, are really kind of fed up with him at this point, to be quite honest. And especially when you consider that he's the one that's calling the defense and the defense has been so bad. They're giving up, I believe, the most passing yards per game. For a while, it was Denver because of that Miami game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it finally readjusted after, these last couple of weeks, but the Chargers are a really, really bad defense. You can throw the ball all over them. So it makes sense that they would ask the question, and Staley was kind of a dick about it. So I'm going to put it up for you guys to check it out for yourself.
We got to bring this group together and do it consistently. Okay. And that's where it's at. So you can stop asking that question. Okay. I'm going to be calling the defenses. Okay. So we're clear. So you don't have to ask that again.
Yeah, that's why they're fucking losing that bad.
Yeah, and from what I heard about this, people were saying that know Staley well. We're saying he's such a charismatic, like just a happy person. Like the NFL coaching must be really, really difficult because that's not even who he is. But you can just see like when you're losing, man, it can really boil over, and it feels like I called it. I said, Staley's getting fired. He was not fired today. And I really thought that this might be the straw to break the camel's back. But I think they're just going to keep rolling with him. They might just be one of those franchises like the Raiders and how they'll stick with bad coaches for a long time. And maybe New England's going to end up being like that 5 years from now. Who knows? Like, so for whatever reason, people don't necessarily make changes, but the best organizations pivot from their mistakes. They do it real quick. They bring a guy in. Look at how Sean Payton spent 3 games with Randy Gregory, sent his ass to the 49ers.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it doesn't take long to be like, yeah, we paid him a lot of money. Guess what? It was a mistake. At the end of the day, he's not one of our best 52 players. So I don't care about the maxed out contract. Get his ass off the field. Pivot. And there's no pivot going on from the front office for the Chargers. I think they're gonna just fucking they're just gonna ball their fists and fight. And I just think you look at the Raiders moving off their toxic head coach, and not calling Staley toxic. I'm just saying from what I've seen in the last 4 years, he doesn't look like a great head coach. But you see AP come in and make an immediate impact. The Raiders played Miami tough. They were on a 2-game winning streak. He saved their whole season. And I think the Chargers it would behoove them to make a similar move. That's all I got on that game, though.
Yeah, dude. I was just going to say they do need a pivot. It's tough to watch the Chargers be this way with a defensive-minded head coach who can't get out of his own way. And to an extent, look, head coaches have these egos. And look, if you have the confidence, awesome. It's when that ego starts to become bigger than the confidence that it's like, now you're just being a dick and don't want to give up play calling because you've got this ego that's bigger. It's bigger than the room you're in, right? So they do need a pivot. I think, man, if he's the second in-season firing of the NFL, I think a lot of Chargers fans will be very happy about that.
Yeah, I know. I know them personally, the ones that will be happy about it.
Yeah.
All right. Our next game is one of the hottest storylines in the NFL, and it's CJ Stroud. And if you've been watching Tom Grassi reaction videos or the script videos, he says that Houston don't call themselves the Texans, they call themselves the Strouds. And it's really awesome. They're totally buying into it. CJ Stroud's on pace, breaking records every week. But in this game, he threw 3 interceptions. And that can be a little bit discouraging for a rookie. They did ask him about it, and he doesn't seem shaken as far as confidence level at all. This is what CJ said.
Took a couple little shots, but I mean, that's football. I'll be okay. And man, Steph Curry don't ever stop shooting. I'm gonna keep letting it ride. And I don't got no shame in my game. I definitely got to be smarter, but no confidence is taken away from me. I'm gonna keep letting it fly. I mean, there's things where it can go either way, and they got the better of me today. And that's just the NFL, So I'm blessed enough to come out here with a dub, and my confidence isn't going nowhere.
Dude, I love that. I love him.
Great
I'm
clip.
old enough to
Great
call
clip.
him a young man, I guess, because I'm naturally doing it. I love this young man. I think he carries himself in a way that reminds me of Jalen Hurts at a young age. And I think he is absolutely right, dude. When you've been breaking records, don't fret on your 3 interception game. Like, now it is something to monitor. Like, you don't want to turn into Josh Allen, but at the same time, don't change anything, because right now the Texans are one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and it's because of CJ Stroud.
Yeah, dude, I love that. Steph Curry, don't stop shooting. Shoot or shoot, baby.
I love that. Shoot or shoot.
Shoot or shoot, baby. And another one he could put in his back pocket is fuck it. We ball. We ball. Right. I love it. For the second straight week, he turned the ball over 3 times. And for the second straight week, the Texans said, fuck it, we ball. And they won the game, dude. They beat the game. They beat the Cardinals in this game. And you notice, right? Like, his first half was awesome. He threw 2 touchdowns, 259 yards in that first half. He took a huge hit in the third quarter, starting that second half for his first drive. And he started to look a little bit like, okay, what's going on? And then that's when those interceptions came. 2 quarters in a row, he threw 2 interceptions. But my God, dude, Tank Dell, 149 receiving yards, Devin Singletary with 112 rushing yards. Like, this offense just does not stop. And this defense, we got to give a lot of credit to this Texans defense, because what did they do in order to stop the Cardinals? They stopped them 3 times on 4th down when the Cardinals were driving. So as much as we're going to give credit to CJ Stroud and his keep shooting ways, right? Like, shoot or shoot. The defense came up with some huge stops against the Cardinals. And the Cardinals kept this game close. They picked off CJ Stroud. They were able to get some points off of those turnovers, and they were able to get in a position where they were going to win the game. But they went into that, they came away with the loss because of that Texans defense. I do have to say, man, Kyler Murray back on the Cardinals makes them watchable now. So if you're, I think I said it during our predictions episode, if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, you like it a lot better now.
Yeah, Kyler might be one of those guys that's like, he was just having a bad season, and he could bounce back and be special. And we know when Arizona was playing good in the beginning of the season, we were like, oh, Philly's looking a little slow. Arizona has their offensive coordinator. That makes sense. And I think really they might, in Arizona, and I still believe this, they might have the coaching staff figured out, which is huge. And Texans are, I would say, if you look at their 3 wins, their 3 straight wins, it was the Buccaneers, okay, whatever, Cardinals, whatever. But in the middle of those 2, they went to Cincinnati and beat the Bengals. So I think we have to take them serious because of that win. I still think Houston looks beatable, but who cares? They're winning right now, and they're gonna, we're gonna see how this plays out in the next 2 weeks. Like, between Cleveland, Denver, and Houston, all these kind of teams that were like coming up right now, they're all about to play each other, and then things will make a little bit more sense. But right now, all you can do is give these teams a nod because they keep on winning.
Yeah, and you mentioned all those teams second in their division, as well as the Bills. Like, this is going to be a very competitive 3 wild card spots in the AFC. You're going to have your division winners, which seem to be who it's going to be right now. But those 3 spots are going to be very, very competitive. And CJ Stroud and the Texans offense may come crashing down a bit when we talk about our next, just kind of like what we're about to do with our next team. But like you said, they're riding high right now because they're able to turn the ball over and still get the dub because their offense is that good.
Yeah. Another offense that's really good that didn't look good 2 weeks ago, but we knew they were good is Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Thought this might be a sneaky game. I did make a couple of references. Mike Vrabel, the most profitable underdog coach in the last decade. That is true, but Jaguars, I really felt like that wasn't going to be true on Sunday. Jacksonville at home coming off of an embarrassing loss. It's like, in a way, I'm like, okay, Jacksonville's like back on track, which I expected. But there's a little part of me that hasn't really let go what the 49ers did. Because the 49ers coming off, a bye week and 3 losses, it just doesn't seem right. Like if Jacksonville lost that game to the 49ers and then beat the Titans, like let's say 17-24, it's like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But Jacksonville had a good game against the Titans, and it's almost like, okay, I guess we'll just call the 49ers bad at the office. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, I get it. And last week was just, God, the Jags looked so bad last week. And that's kind of why I thought this game was going to be a stinker, if you guys remember. I said Rick's guarantee, take the under. Guess what? That didn't hit. But hey, it was Rick's guarantee. So if you took it, then I apologize. The Jaguars came
Rick's
out
guarantee,
first.
something worth something.
Hey, I picked something earlier in the Bears game that was right. So maybe you guys,
did.
50-50, 1 for 2, not bad. Shoot or shoot.
Better than Vegas.
Hey,
shoot
fuck
and shoot.
Fuck it, we ball. The Jaguars offense came out and scored on their first 5 possessions, man. They scored at will against this Titans defense. The Titans defense had no answer against the Jaguars. Calvin Ridley had 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Jaguars defense held Derrick Henry to 40 yards rushing. They got to Will Levis twice. They needed this win because just like the team we talked about earlier, the Texans, right? They're second place right now in that AFC South. They're looking like they're gonna, threaten the Jaguars with the division title. I still think the Jaguars are gonna come out with a division title in the South, but the Jags needed this win. They needed this win because they're like, oh shit, little brother's back there with a rookie quarterback, right? The Titans with Will Levis. Will Levis, we fell in love with him when he threw for 4 touchdowns in his first start. And then it just has not been anywhere near as good since then. I talked about Derrick Henry not even rushing for past 40 yards. That was bad. It's been a rough time for this Titans team, man. There's really not much I can say. The Titans are lost. Vrabel, I love Vrabel as a coach. He's having a tough time. He's got a rookie quarterback in right now, and there was talks. I don't know if you saw this, but there was like a rumor going around that Tannehill asked for his release. Tannehill came back and said, "No, that is not true. Like, it sucks that I'm not starting right now, but that is not what's going on right now." So
yeah,
Titans, I feel disarray right now. They're disarray.
Like your teams out there, they're losing. They're not playing competitive. Like it worked for the first couple of weeks, but like you said, Will
Levis.
Levis. That's our kicker. Will Levis. He. It seems like that was a long time ago that he came in and provided a spark. But Jacksonville is a really good team. It's a really good challenge. Titans have injuries on the offensive line. They didn't run the football with Derrick Henry, and I benched him. I was like, they're not utilizing their best weapon, and I just don't know what to make of that. I don't think it's Derrick Henry. I think if they actually respected Derrick Henry, we talked about it during the stream. I think you actually D for the P at this point, but I talked about how really good players sometimes don't win Super Bowls, and it's really sad. Derrick Henry is a guy that if he doesn't make a move now is the time where he has to go so he can still provide something without being a veteran that just comes in on third down. Like he's still Derrick Henry, but Tennessee is totally wasting his talent, and they're right to take the rest of this season to evaluate Will Levis, because what the hell else are they going to do? They're not going to the playoffs. They're not going to make a run at anything. So you might as well use this time like how the Steelers used last season when they were 1-4 and they put Kenny Pickett in. Let's
Yeah.
at least know what we got here so that we can at least build around him for next season if he's the guy. And I don't think we've seen enough to know if Levis is the guy or not. I mean, I think he is. I liked what I saw, but I didn't watch this game, every play of it. But Will Levis in his first start, he looked great. In his second start, he looked good too. And we saw him on Thursday night playing a tough team. And it came down to the end. Like they were in the ball game. So I just think the most important thing for Will Levis right now is to just at least get a win to get his confidence going, because he seems like a guy that will play his best football when he's confident in Baker Mayfield. And I don't know, maybe I'm just comparing the two because they both like look the same kind of, but
yeah.
But
I mean, he threw for 2 touchdowns, one to DeAndre Hopkins. So I mean, there's that. There's at least that
was
much,
a flea flicker too. That was an awesome.
It was a sick play. It was a sick play.
He hung in there and made it happen.
Yep.
You got anything else on that game?
No, not really, man. Like you said, what have you got to lose with Will Levis? Because Tannehill's not the long-term answer, and Derrick Henry, it's scary to think that he might end up with how Ezekiel Elliott is right now if he doesn't get moved soon.
Oh my God, that's crazy to think, especially when you think just not too long ago he was undisputedly the best running back in the NFL. Like there was no questions asked about it. So I don't wish that upon him, and I don't think that's where he's at technically, because Zeke had been like kind of slowly, and I just think this is like one season. Even last year he was doing much better, but he is on the wrong road right now. That's for sure.
Yes, 100%.
All right, the Miami Dolphins playing the Raiders. This was an interesting game because the Raiders were off of a 2-game win streak. I was getting a lot of Raiders hate, a lot of people, messaging me, Raiders fans that I know from Navy days, super, super stoked to tell me that the Dolphins were going to get their cheeks clapped, and legitimately told me that he prayed about it at church. And I was like, you prayed that? Exactly. He
praying
goes,
on my downfall.
And that the Broncos would lose.
Praying on my downfall.
Praying on my downfall don't make you religious, man.
Yeah.
Drake, look, the Dolphins play really good at home, and this wasn't that great of a game. It was a 7-point game. I don't really know if I should be like, oh, the Raiders played a really scrappy game. They fought as hard as they could, or to be like the Dolphins screwed around and almost lost to a team that isn't that great. And honestly, I'm leaning that way. I'm worried about the Dolphins. I thought the Dolphins should have won this game by a lot more points, but you also got to give credit to the Raiders. But this one really has got me. Like, sometimes we do these predictions and I find myself saying something that I feel like I'm giving nothing to offer. I just say 2 things that are true, but I don't tell you really how to feel about it. And that's when I get really confused. And that's kind of how I am with this game. Like, it's like the Dolphins should have been better, but you got to give credit to the Raiders. It's like, no shit.
Yeah.
But I don't know what else to say about it. That's the thing.
And I get it. I get it, because this was such a weird game, because the Dolphins only scored 6 points in the second half. And like you said, give credit to the Raiders defense. They were in Miami and they only gave up 6 points to the home team. And that is with 3 interceptions from Aiden O'Connell. And that is with taking the ball on short field and taking the ball away 3 times from the Dolphins. So like you said, a very confusing game from the Dolphins. And this is one of the reasons why I was talking about that Bills game, right? If the Bills lose this one, are they out of it like completely? Or if they win this one, do they, because going forward, the Dolphins have not really proven that they're this team that can dominate teams, right? Like playoff teams more specifically. If you put them up against the Ravens, if you put them up against the Jaguars, or if you put them up against even the fucking who's leading the NFC South, the Saints, like I don't know if they win those games. That's the thing, right? Like maybe the Saints, they have a better shot at the Saints than anybody else, any other division leader. So it's tough to like look at this game and have a certain feeling about it, because a lot of people are calling the Dolphins frauds. A lot of their wins came against bad teams, right? And we're seeing those bad teams that they got those wins starting to maybe, get the wheels turning, a la the goddamn Denver Broncos, right? So so it's very confusing to feel a certain way about the Dolphins. What I will say is their defense has gotten a spark with Jalen Ramsey coming back. He had 2 interceptions. That second one in the end zone, he looked rough coming down. And it looks like he may have injured something else, but he kind of got up, shook it off, is what it is, right?
He's
The
good.
rate, yeah. So, okay. So he is good. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they need that spark from him. Xavier Howard is, I believe, coming back this season. And if not, then we'll see if he comes back for the playoffs. The Raiders, on the other hand, the Raiders defense, dude, they have been very good this year. And going forward past this season, I just think they might be one of the better units, next year. The offense, I cannot say the same about, even with Aiden O'Connell, even with Jimmy G, even with Devontae Adams, whether or not they have them past this offseason, it's going to be tough. But the Raiders, not a bad game against the Dolphins, dude. It's just that the Dolphins have more talent on one side. And that's kind of how they won the game. Tyreek Hill scored a touchdown. Silvana Med scored a touchdown. But there were some hiccups there from the Dolphins. But the defense for the Dolphins, 0 points to the Raiders in the second half, 0 points. So Dolphins won this game, I think, in my opinion. But they still might be on fraud alert.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is that I still think that AP has earned the starting head coach position.
Yeah,
and I know that
I like it.
There's going to be during the offseason, there's new head coaching candidates and stuff like that. And there might be people that are like, no, I feel like we settled if we stick with him. It's like you've won 2 of your last 3 and you played Miami really tough. I was like, hey, we've played in that stadium. We know what happened to us, 70 points. Like now Miami played a much, better game, but so did the Raiders than Denver. And I think when you have the intangibles, you like, those are the things that you can't buy. You bought Josh McDaniels, you bought 6 Super Bowl, 6 Super Bowl rings of experience to come through the building.
Yeah.
But guess what? You can't buy the players wanting to fight for their head coach. You can't buy happiness. You can't buy those things that AP's got his guys playing as hard as they can for him. And you can tell that the Raiders are having fun playing football out there. And it's almost like they got their identity back. Those are the things that you can't buy. So when you have a coach that's pulling that out of your players, you need to have the awareness to realize that this isn't something that you should be willing to let go of. It's hard to find, something like that. And when you do, you got to treat it like it's valuable. And I think AP is really valuable to the Raiders. And for the Miami, like you said, fraud alert. The Dolphins turned the ball over 3 times. They turned the ball over on a 4th down on the Raiders' 10-yard line. But Miami wins the game, so none of it really matters. And in the end, Miami will get another win, and we'll continue to expect to see more out of Miami for them to prove to us. Because I got people in my family that love the Dolphins, and they remind me all the time that when they're doing the Super Bowl prediction stuff, they got Miami. And I'm like, I am not there with Miami at all. Like, you got to understand, their type of offense doesn't translate well in January. I'll say it a million times because it's true. They can't run the football. They are not playing great defense. Yes, Jalen Ramsey gives them a spark. Yes, Vic Fangio is the best in the league. It doesn't matter because we're still seeing these type of games for Miami where they look beatable. They just got beat by the Chiefs 2 weeks ago in Germany. We saw the Chiefs look super beatable. It's like everybody's just kind of fucking around. Nobody's really nobody's really taking those steps. And there's so many opportunities. Here you go, Miami. Here you go, Kansas City, Philly. Somebody just kind of separate yourself, and no one wants to. And it's like, it's been a crazy year, but it's so entertaining. And really what it calls for is like 14 of our 16 weekly games to give us some type of information that we feel like we're desperate for, because we are trying to figure out the NFL going into Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving. And I feel like I don't remember a year where I've been this kind of like I don't know what's going to happen. We're in Thanksgiving. And I'm like, Texans are going to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I know. I feel that. But I 100% agree with what you're saying about AP. I think he deserves like an interview during the offseason to be the head coach, because they're playing with some feeling towards him, and he's been doing a great job with what he's been given.
For sure, dude. And this is a game that I was pretty excited to talk about, because I know somebody personally that's going to be really, really happy about it. And his name is a 4-letter word, starts with B, and it ends with an L. There's actually 2 L's in it, and in between the B and the 2 L's, there's an I. Do you know who I'm talking about?
The Buffalo Bills.
I'm talking about our good friend Bill and the New York Giants handing the Commanders a season sweep. The Giants had already beaten the Commanders, and they go and they do it again. Why not? This is awesome for the Giants. I think Tommy DeVito, I made a joke earlier that I should have started him. I would have never started him, but it's funny that he did get 22 fantasy points, a pretty good week. Honestly, some would say excellent. I don't know what words you want to use. I think words matter, but this was definitely a surprising win. The Giants defense forced 5 mother-licking turnovers.
6.
They had like 23. Was it 6?
It was 6. Yeah.
All right. Okay. 6. Because the Giants defense I saw got like 24 points. I thought it was 5, but 6 is still fucking crazy. Well, no, it's not still crazy. It's more crazy. This is crazy, because the Giants are like literally like a terrible team that will beat you and then be terrible again. And I don't know what the Giants are doing. What is the Giants doing winning this game in Washington against the Commanders, who have, things going well, and the Giants score 31 points? I don't know, man.
It's crazy, because the Giants came into this game as the lowest scoring offense in the NFL. In the entirety of the NFL, they were the lowest scoring offense, and the Washington Commanders could not take advantage of that. I'm starting to think the Giants swept the Commanders, and the Commanders are the Achilles heel of the Eagles. The Giants can beat the Eagles. Bet. Put it in. Rick's guarantee the Giants could beat I'm just kidding. Look, they came away with 6 turnovers. Kyle's like, what the hell did I miss? The Giants came away with 6 turnovers, 3 interceptions, 1 for a pick 6 on Sam Howell, 3 fumbles, just huge. And Kyle's disgusting. He loves this shit. Who's
going to beat the Eagles?
the Cucumbas, the Cucumbas from yeah, man, the defense played well. They got a score from the defense, and Tommy DeVito threw for 3 touchdown passes. He outperformed Sam Howell, who seems to be the guy in Washington. He outperformed him, and Bill's laughing because he's like, I don't know how we won this game. And to be honest, I don't think the Giants or fans, especially Bill, wanted the Giants to win this game because of draft positioning. Now, Tommy DeVito gets a sick win. Some guy who was drafted, in whatever pick, whatever round, gets a great win. A great 40-yard pass to Darius Slayton, too. Looked amazing. The way he threw that ball, it looked good coming out of the arm. It looked good going in the Slayton's hands. The Giants did a lot. And on the other side, the Commanders, all those turnovers, they got 24 points. The Giants got 24 points off those turnovers, dude. You cannot do that if you're the Commanders. You cannot throw for 3 picks, including a pick 6, if you're Sam Howell in Washington. That was a bad game for the Commanders, dude. There's really not much else to say. The only good thing is they sacked Tommy DeVito like 9 times. That's about the only bright spot on the Commanders team. So good for the Commanders defense.
When they traded Montez Sweat and Chase Young, they already said we're playing for next year. And if they wanted 100%. To make a push this year, they wouldn't have tried to cash in. And they know They know at the end of the season that they didn't have the money to pay him. But if you trade him before the deadline, at least we get something for him versus letting him just walk and not getting anything. So, I mean, it's the right move, but it also kind of told us the state of the Commanders and where they were at. They're like, is the juice really worth the squeeze if we're just going to get into the wild card round and lose and then not have that extra pick? Or do we just get rid of it and start losing? And they are definitely out of the playoffs now because they got swept by the Giants. That is a big deal because they're in the same division. So, you know, if some way in hell the Commanders, you know, were in the playoff hunt towards the end or tied with the Giants would be in because they swept them. But you might be saying, whoa, the Giants aren't going to the playoffs. What are you talking about? Well, what would you say if I told you that the Giants may go on a winning streak because of this game? I'll tell you why. With the Patriots coming to MetLife next week, the Giants could do the unthinkable and launch a winning streak.
Wow.
Tommy DeVito's kind of got some kind of juice right now, and the Patriots have the opposite of juice. They have shit. The Patriots can't do anything. So let me propose the question to you. Can the Giants turn their season around with Tommy DeVito?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. I love you, Bill, but absolutely fucking not.
I thought there was going to be a little bit of tension there, and you know.
Ooh, can they? I mean, with that way, hell no, bro. Hell no. They need Tom Coughlin back.
Yeah. Okay. So is that all you got? Are you just not going to answer it?
Yeah, they're not turning shit around. The only thing they're turning around is their backs on what's his face, Tyrod Taylor.
Wow, that's a throwback. You're mad about that. That is not something that normal people just like bring up. How pissed off were you when they turned their backs on him?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, Bill, congratulations on the dub. You deserve it. You're struggling. A lot of us are struggling this year. And your dude's got the job done. I'm gonna tell you, I did think that my computer just somewhere. I did think that the Giants could get on a winning streak with Tommy DeVito, and I'll repeat what I meant about the momentum. Once a quarterback like Tommy DeVito, like Will Levis, like that, once these guys actually have a little bit of belief and momentum on their side, it's amazing what they're capable of. So much of the NFL, because obviously if you're playing in the NFL, you're talented. You are good at throwing a football. You're good at reading defenses. You're in the NFL. You don't end up in the NFL by accident. This is not, you are a professional quarterback. The question is, can the coaching staff pull the most out of the player, and can the player get out of his own way? And if they're gonna if Tommy DeVito has another big game against the Patriots and they fucking wax the Patriots, I'm not sure I'm willing to say in a weak ass NFC that a coach that I do believe in a quarterback that might be a little frisky, I'm not saying that they're gonna make the playoffs, but I'm saying they might be in their head at least playing for the hunt. And that's way different than tanking, right? That's a totally different energy.
They are in the top 5 for the NFL draft. I cannot see that happening. I cannot see that happening whatsoever.
I'm saying that they're going to be playing for the hunt, which is probably like the worst way to say that it's a team that's going to be tanking. Whatever, Bill, I tried. They're
going to be playing to get outside the top 10 in draft picks. That's what they're playing for right now. Mid-level.
Mid-level.
Out of here.
Just like this podcast. Mid-level talent. Mid-level jokes. Mid-level height. Where none of us are super tall. All right. Our next game is a guy that looks mid. It's a guy that looks mid, and he looks so mid that people can't believe that he's as good as he is. He looks like a kid. He looks like somebody that shouldn't be him. But Rick, Brock Purdy is him. And the 49ers, they're rolling again. Like,
Mhm.
forget about it. The 3-game winning streak, that was years ago. They stomped on Jacksonville, and I saw the explosive plays again. I saw Deebo Samuel going down.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw Brandon Ayuk on an 80-yard touchdown reception. I saw Christian McCaffrey playing a heavier role. By the way, I look at the Eagles today. They can't stop Isaiah Pacheco. Oh my
Mhm.
God, George Kittle,
Mhm.
Deebo, and Christian McCaffrey are gonna have a field day on that defense if they can't handle Kansas City's not great offense, to be honest.
They look bad.
It's gonna be bad. And the 49ers look like they're at a level again where they're ready to exploit whoever is
Mhm.
brave enough to play them. And it was the Buccaneers this week. Honestly, Buccaneers did a good job of hanging around and keeping the game competitive. But
Mhm.
I mean, it was still the 49ers game the whole time, and nobody really doubted it.
Yeah, Brock Purdy, like you said, is he him? He is 100% him. He had a perfect passer rating. Kyle, that hasn't happened in San Francisco since 1989.
Holy crap, that was so long
1989.
ago.
That was like 123 years ago.
Bill's like, what? I was in college.
Hey, fuck you guys. 21 to 25, 233 pass yards, 3 touchdowns. Again, perfect passer rating for Brock Purdy. He got one to Ayuk, he got one to Kittle, and he got one to McCaffrey. So spreading the ball around and doing so with just that calmness. Now the Bucks, not a great team when they cannot compete against teams like this. They can't compete against the 49ers, the Eagles, the any division leader, the Lions, any division leader you name, they probably can't compete against, except maybe in their own division, the Saints. That's probably the only team they can compete against. But when you go 1 for 3 in the red zone, Baker Mayfield, oof, tough time, man. Tough time. They are 4.3 yards per play on offense. Not good. Not good. I don't know if you can call that an offense. They got outgained in both passing and rushing. Overall, I think they got outgained on the offense by like 140 yards. This is just not a good team, man. And they fight, but they just cannot overcome these really good teams. The 49ers, they're looking like they're on a roll now, dude. Like you said, they're looking like they're on a roll. They are 7-3 now and at the top of the division because of a loss in their division, which we'll talk about later.
What's the 49ers theme song or their theme phrase?
Oh God, I don't know. Welcome to the Bay. We're just a little gay, something like that.
To the Bay, but there's like a
faithful to the Bay. We're kind of gay.
Forget about it. It doesn't matter. The point is whatever their theme song is, they're probably still singing it because they are so happy that their team is back. Because really, this is a big test for Kyle Shanahan. I'm kind of nervous because I really think Kyle Shanahan's like got what it takes, but he might be like the Andy Reid of the early 2000s, where it's like he's a genius. Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens, Brian Westbrook, but didn't win the Super Bowl, make it to the playoffs, but never got a ring. It's like this is kind of the proverbial mountain that Kyle Shanahan's been trained to climb for the last 5 years. And it seems like his team is in the best shape because it's all about timing. You can have a great team, but it can be the wrong time. You could have a great running game, but the team that made it out of the NFC happens to be great at stopping the run. There's a lot of coincidences and things. And looking around at the other 31 teams, I got to say the 49ers should be nervous because it's their Super Bowl to lose, in my opinion.
Ooh.
And I think it's very possible that you're going to get the Ravens and 49ers in a Super Bowl rematch. And if you think I'm crazy, let me just remind you that last year the Super Bowl sign was green and red, and the Chiefs and the Eagles made it. The year before that, the colors were orange and gold, and it was the Rams and the Bengals. This goes all the way back to the Bengals and Ravens in 2012. Wow. It's matched up every single year, and they've already released the colors. Guess what? It's purple and it's gold. Which tells
Ravens, 49ers.
Ravens, 49ers. Like, I don't want to believe it. You fucking know I don't want to believe that shit. I hate the Ravens. And guess what? That's the only thing I'll be happy about is that the Ravens go and get fucking waxed by Brock Purdy. But I'm getting ahead of myself. but the principle remains. It is the 49ers year to win the Super Bowl. And I think that everybody is the hair is starting to raise a little bit. Everyone's starting to feel it. And what do you think about the 49ers kind of running away with the NFL this year?
I look at those 3 games they lost and I'm just like, okay, God, I don't want to say anything. Yeah. And Trent Williams was huge miss right in those 3 games. And it seemed like he came back. Debo came back. Huge. China. The huge loss in that one. Debo Samuel and Trent Williams came back, and now this team looks like, oh my God, we're in full form. You know what I mean? Like we're back to full form. They just got a couple HP points taken away. No big deal. I don't want to say they're going to run away with it. They're going to win the West. It seems like to me, in my humble opinion, and they're going to do really well in the playoffs. I don't want to say they're just going to roll right through, though.
All right. That's fine. You can think what you want. You can believe what you will.
Good,
and you're right. The 49ers did lose 3 games in a row. We can't just forget about that. What if Trent Williams gets hurt in the playoffs? What if it's the middle of the game and Brock Purdy breaks his elbow? I mean, there's no reason to believe strongly that anyone's going to make the Super Bowl. But imagine being a 49ers fan. You really, you really like, I couldn't imagine, like, I'm already like, oh, if the Broncos win one more, I can start fucking around on my podcast. Like, imagine how obnoxious I would be if I had the 49ers as my team. Like, I would be so happy.
If we had started this podcast back in like 2005 or something, and I was a Patriots fan, I'd be the most annoying person in the world.
Oh my God. I don't know if I could do it.
No, I don't think so either.
No way, dude. Too much cocks. Too much cocks. Our next game is the Buffalo Bills, who handled the Jets like a child. They basically got Zach Wilson fired in the middle of the game, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. How long were they going to go with Zach Wilson? And it was a vote of confidence. They thought that he could play best if everybody believed in him. And like I said, that's right. That goes a long way. But it's Nathaniel Hackett. This is finally time for us to look at the sample size from Nathaniel Hackett taking over play calling duties with the Broncos to now with the Jets. Because remember, before that, Matt LaFleur was calling the plays for the Packers. Yep. Aaron Rodgers wasn't calling the plays. As a play caller, Nathaniel Hackett averages less than 1 touchdown in half of his games. That is horrendous. Meanwhile, John Payton and company, they're scoring points and they're changing things. The Jets they remind me of Denver. I look at the game, I watch the offense, I see everything. Look, you're telling me Breece Hall, he's a top 5 running back in the league. If he went anywhere else, he could work his way up to being a number 2, number 3. I think he could be the best running back in the league right now with the way Derrick Henry is and Joe Mixon getting a little older. Like Breece Hall is the future, and you're not even tapping into that because you can't, because you don't have an O-line, and then you can't get the passing game going. You don't have the head coach is fine. I don't got a problem with Saleh, but you don't have the play caller. You don't have an offensive line, and you don't have the quarterback. Of course, you scored 6 points. You got to at least have one of those things. Yeah. Your running back is totally being wasted because of the situation you put him in. And for the Bills, they score a lot of points on their first game, but it was against the Jets, and I'm not going to forget that they just lost to Denver 8 days ago.
The Jets. I complain about the Bears team and being a Bears fan, dude. I love my New York Tears. I love it. I love my New York Tears. And I complain about being a Bears fan, but oh my God, Zach Wilson and the Jets. I would be so infuriated if I was a Jets fan. You had so much hope coming into the season, and you think, okay, we got Aaron Rodgers. We've got a great defense. The line is very, very suspect. And if all goes bad, hey, we had an offseason where Aaron Rodgers was mentoring, in a sense, Zach Wilson, right? Like, he should be better. He is not better, dude. He is just as dog shit as they come. He is the most absolutist dog shit quarterback in the league right now. Salah benched him in the last few seconds in the third quarter. He had 1 touchdown pass and a failed 2-point conversion. for the only points that they put up. Tim Boyle came in for the Jets in the fourth quarter. Tim Boyle had 33 yards passing. Zach Wilson had 81. He almost had half the amount of passes in one quarter that Zach Wilson had in 3. That's how bad this offense is for the Jets. And if you guys go on my Twitter @andnowrick, I reposted a video of Zach Wilson being like pushed out of the sidelines right into
backpedaling and
Salah.
falling.
No, not that one, because that one is very funny. But he got pushed or had to run into the sidelines right into his coach. And it looked like when he bumped into his coach, Salah was like tackling him. And it was like, that is the perfect embodiment. That is the perfect visual for what this Salah-Zach Wilson relationship is. Salah wants like nothing to do with it.
It reminds me of like when you're like, not me and my brother are 2 years apart, but if you have a sibling that's like 8 years younger than you and like you want to go like hang out, play with your friends, and then all of a sudden your dad like pushes your 4-year-old brother into you and he's like, bring him. And you're like, oh fuck. Like the way you just described that is like there's an adult and there's a child. And the child can't figure out how to not fall into things, including the coach, the guy that wants to kill him. That's so funny. Then you saw the backpedal where he fell. It just seems like all flustered out there all the time. Like
I feel so bad for Zach Wilson, man, because he was from BYU. He's some Mormon kid thrust right into New York media, right into the lights, right into that city. It sucks because New York and New York media is a tough place to play, no matter what sport you're playing.
There's a lot of bridges there.
There's a lot of bridges there, Bill. Yes, there are.
There is a lot of opportunity. But you're right. You're right. He came from BYU to New York. That's a pretty dramatic shift.
It is. And it sucks for him because as a person, he's probably a decent guy, but God, as a football player, he's just terrible. And where he got, this is almost like Trubisky. Like he had like Zach Wilson had one good throw that everybody looks back at during the combine. And they're like, oh shit, Zach Wilson MVP season loading. And they picked him off that. And it's like you had 2 other quarterbacks that were much better than him. Regardless, the Bills. Let's talk about the Bills now. Started off a little slow, had some field goals those first 3 possessions, and then they scored 3 straight touchdowns. And then they ended off with a field goal. They scored, 32 points total on this Jets defense, which is supposed to be elite. His first game as OC, what's his name? Goddamn Joe Brady looked pretty damn good to me. Let's be honest, right? Joe Brady's OC looked pretty damn good. Obviously, this is one game, so we can't say for sure that Joe Brady is the answer at OC. But Josh Allen, threw for 3 touchdowns, I believe, in this game. And just the offense looked to be a little bit more in sync, a little bit better. Ty Johnson, Khalil Shakir looked better. You had Rasul Douglas get 2 interceptions. This was just an absolute destruction of the Jets by the Bills.
Yeah. And you're right. I got nothing. The Jets look like absolute dog shit. And we're just hearing now coming out of New York that they're saying Aaron Rodgers hopes to be ready to go by mid-December. That is the thing is the Jets may not be playing for anything during that time. And man, I just couldn't imagine. It's like a race, man. And you're just trying to see if Aaron Rodgers can catch up to the Jets before the Jets eliminate themselves from the playoffs.
Don't bring Aaron back this year. Do not bring him back this year.
I wonder if that's even an option, or if Aaron feels like he needs to come back.
It should not be. I know, but it should not be.
Speaking of Robert, real quick. Speaking of injuries, there is an injury that we totally missed, and this is huge. Like, this is the biggest injury that happened all week, so we need to talk about it really quick. The 49ers safety. The 49ers safety, Lufanga, he's injured, hurt, gone for the season. Is very traumatic. He's undergoing further MRIs today to understand the severity. Is it ACL, PCL, and like how many ligaments are messed up? But it was a huge deal. So I did clip this it's a 10-second thing, but it's Fred Warner, the heart and soul of that 49ers defense, talking about the injury.
My heart goes out to Huff. Not exactly sure what's going on there, but obviously they're fearing the worst for him right now, and that's obviously my heart and prayers go out to Huff, man.
Yeah, so I totally forgot to go there, but I wanted you guys to see that because that is the biggest injury that has happened this entire week, and that's going to really change the 49ers, because we were talking about, are they a Super Bowl team? And we forgot to say they missed like their second most important player for the rest of the season. But anyway, go ahead and finish.
I was just going to say, going back to that injury from week 1 from last season against the Bears, Hufanga looked good in that game against the Bears. Like, I knew who that guy was after that week 1 of the 2022 season. From that day on, I knew who that was, the safety for the 49ers. So big ups to him. Hopefully everything's okay and he can come back next season, train, get better over the offseason, and come back next season. As far as Salah and Aaron Rodgers,
the injury, trying to get him come back.
Trying to get him back. Please do not. Like, Aaron Rodgers wants to play football. He's a competitor. As much as people say he's not, probably. He wants to play football and he wants to compete. He wants to be on that field with his guys, knowing that, hey, I can do something. I can make this team better. I can give some morale victories, right? I just, I think for Coach Salah's sake, don't, because Salah has that in his back pocket. He has Aaron Rodgers in his back pocket. He can go to ownership, be like, look, because Salah's seat might be a little hot with what he's doing with Zach Wilson, right? He's going to go into the offseason and be like, we've got Aaron Rodgers healthy now. What happened in the 4th play of the first game was a complete anomaly. Let's look past that. We've got a Hall of Fame quarterback who's going to be our quarterback. Let's upgrade the line over the offseason, and we're going to go into 2024 much, much better off than the 2023 season. So I think we should wait, because if you injure him again, he's coming back at a ridiculous rate, Aaron Rodgers, off this ACL or whatever. Or
not
Achilles.
If he does it again.
Exactly. It's going to be even worse. So why bring him when the stakes are at an all-time low? So I just don't think that should be an option.
It's crazy because it's like it was like Rodgers was going to retire last year, and then he's like, no, I'm going to play. And then this year he thought about it, and then he was like, no, I'm going to play. And it's like, now it's like we just assume he's going to play next year because you can't go out like that. Yeah. It's really complicated, and it'll be interesting to see how it's navigated. As Bill said, the week after Thanksgiving, he's going to be back in the facility. That itch is going to start getting itchier, and we'll hopefully see the Jets win a couple of games, because I'm kind of rooting for Aaron Rodgers to come back this year. Like I said, or like you said, only if they're playing for something. But just as a fan, I love the story. I don't know if anybody's ever won comeback player of the year in the same year that they played, or if we got to wait till next year. But how crazy would that be, right?
Insanity.
Damar Hamlin is the favorite to win that. Get the fuck cat. All right, Rick. Let me paint you a picture. All right, close your eyes.
Like one of your French girls?
Yes. Close your eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
You're watching a football game, and one of the teams has a percentage to win the game, 69%.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You like that percent, right?
Oh, I fucking love it.
All right. Open your eyes. They lose. The 40, they lose. The Seahawks
I just busted.
Well, if this is a game of 21, then I'm sorry. But if this is your never mind. If the Seahawks had a game-winning field goal lined up,
you tried.
I was going to, and I was like, I don't want to go that far. If they line up the field goal and they kick it just right, and the wind is perfect, it goes down the middle, but it pushes a little to the right, and the Seahawks couldn't believe it. It was not a close field goal. I believe it was a 52-yard field goal. I'm just throwing that out of my ass. I'm not sure exactly how far. I think I remember it being between 50 and 53 or something.
It was like 52 or something like that. It was like, yeah, it was in the 50s though.
Okay, I was gonna see if I had it in my notes or anything. Don't see it off the top of my head, but whatever. It was a long field goal and it didn't go through. The
55
Seahawks,
yards.
55 yards.
Yeah.
Not a good look for the Seahawks. It's just not. I mean, you got the Seahawks who are they lost week 1 to the Rams. They wanted to avoid the season sweep. Now they had to go to LA. Matthew Stafford gets hurt. He got hit so hard in a play, and it was like it was like what Steve said. It's like it woke him up. He came out after he got knocked down, and he came back and got the Rams offense something going. They had nothing going on until that happened, and then the Seahawks, man, making this Rams defense look so good. And I feel like Geno Smith, if he had played like this last year, people would have already been like talking about, oh, maybe we need to replace him. But because of last year's performance and going into the playoffs and all that, people are kind of giving this pass to him. And I just don't know, man. I don't trust the Seahawks. I've said it before this game. They're just not a team that I could believe in to go get the job done. And meanwhile, Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, I believe in them enough to say this is about how much points I thought the Rams would win this game by, to be totally honest. I didn't think that the Rams were going to like smoke the Seahawks, but I felt like the Seahawks would find a way to lose. And that's kind of how it feels.
Oh God, this game, dude, it was just like, remember that trade that the Broncos and the Seahawks did where Russ went one way, Drew Lock and Noah Fant went the other way, and we were both like, we made fun of that
Shelby Harris.
Yeah, don't forget about Shelby Harris. It was so funny because like Geno Smith comes out in the fourth quarter, I believe, or end of the third quarter. Drew Lock comes in. He like throws it deep or something like that, and he misses, and he kind of looks at the sideline and he smiles. He's like, shit, man, I could have had that one. And then he proceeds to throw an interception. The game losing interception for the Seahawks, basically, right? Drew Lock came in with all the swagger, with everything you've seen him rapping on the sidelines in Denver. You think this kid is going to be amazing. Gets traded to Seattle, comes in for an injured Geno Smith, doesn't even have the starting job last year, and just throws this interception that just loses the game for the Seahawks. Geno Smith came back in the game, tried to win it, could not make up for it. On the other side, Stafford and the Rams. In 6 minutes, they score 10 points. Matthew Stafford threw for 108 yards of his 190 in that fourth quarter. No Cooper Kupp, and they still win this game. 10 points in 6 minutes is insane. He picked off, Darian Kendrick for the Rams defense, came up with that pick against Drew Lock, and wow. What a game, dude. The Seahawks needed this win to stay tied on the West, and instead they just said, we fucked up. We put Drew Lock in. We should have just ran the ball, something. And that's what happened, man. They lost. But like you said, to lose by 1 to the Rams, to a Cooper Kupp-less Rams, ugh.
And the injury, Geno coming back was like a good sign, because that meant like, okay, nothing's broken there. But what is not, I guess, a good thing is that the Seahawks play on Thursday night. So not a ton of time. We'll see if they end up going with Drew Lock. The actual injury, I guess, is a bruise on the bottom of his elbow. So that's something that we'll monitor and we'll talk about on Thursday during the game.
or before. I was going to say also,
my mind just broke. I was like, when do we do this if the game's on Thursday?
Pete Carroll, you have 20 seconds on the clock and you don't try to advance the ball up more to give your kicker maybe a better than 55-yard kick. Don't get me wrong, Jason Myers not bad of a kicker, but do better, dude. Do better.
Do better. And I agree. I really do. I think I think moving forward, things aren't going to get better for Seattle. The schedule is favorable for the Rams coming up, who, by the way, somehow with this win are in the hunt. They're in the playoff hunt. And
I don't get it.
and whatever. I don't either. All it means really is that the NFC is pretty weak. But the Seahawks, on the other hand, are about to lose again because they're either going to have Geno Smith a little banged up against 49ers, and then he's going to be really banged up. It would be really smart for the Seahawks to go with Drew Lock, because if you go with Geno Smith, you're still going to lose, but you're still going to lose, but you may further injure because 49ers are physical. They're going to fuck him up. I guarantee you he's going to get more hurt if he plays in that game. What they need to do is get him ready for, because the Thursday gives him 10 days of rest for the next game. So he's technically resting for like 17 days if they just don't play him on Thursday. I think that's kind of important at this point in the season versus one game against the 49ers when, by the way, I know you keep talking about the NFC West rankings. I don't think it matters. The 49ers are definitely going to win that division. So you're playing for the wild card. So understanding that and knowing what's at stake, I think you gotta go with Drew Lock.
Here's the thing, though. You gotta go for the win because you want to know the next 4 games for the Seahawks. They've got the 49ers, the Cowboys, the 49ers, and the Eagles. Those are their next 4 weeks. You got to go for a win here. Dude, it's looking like it. It is really looking like it, especially those 2 against the 49ers. That's going to be tough because that's really going to decide the division. And again, you and I both think that the 49ers are going to win the West. At least Seattle could put up a fight. You know what I mean? But if you don't have Geno in, you're basically saying we're going to lose this game because Drew Lock is not a good backup. Not even a good backup, dude. Not a good backup.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Drew Lock is not even a good backup. So, all right. So now that we're done hating,
oh, I forgot Kyle loves him so much.
Maybe no, I don't love him. I'm just not rooting for the guy to. All right, I love him.
I just don't think he can beat the 49ers or put up a good fight against the 49ers. I don't think so.
2 teams that can put up a good fight are the 2 teams that run the longest win streak playing each other. That was the 5-game winning streak Vikings going into the Mile High City to take on Sierra and the Russell Wilson-led Denver Broncos, Sean Payton-led Denver Broncos. But really, it was the Justin Simmons-led Denver Broncos. It was McMillan, an undrafted corner that we played that's come away with 2 turnovers in the last 2 weeks. It was the special teams. It was Marvin Mims returning the kick. It was Russell Wilson when we needed a touchdown at the end of the game that drove 75 yards, including a rollout under pressure, throwing a dart in the back of the end zone, and Justin Simmons or Cortland Sutton just treating it like a drill, just going up there, high jumping, getting the ball at its highest point, strong hands, bringing it down, and go Lambeau Leap in the Broncos Stadium. This game was a complete win, and Sean Payton in the press conference after the game, Sean Payton was asked, "Oh, you guys are kind of on a roll here." The word wasn't roll; it was like streak or something like that. And then Sean stopped him in the middle. And he's like, "No, we're not." And he's like, "Well, you won 4 in a row." And he's like, "You said it's a streak." I was like, "We have a lot of improvement to do. I've been coaching a long time, and I can tell you we're winning right now, but that's not the same as being on a roll." And he said, "We're not on a roll yet, but we're winning games as we try to figure it out." And the Vikings, man, people were so high on the Vikings. By the way, the Vikings in the power rankings, they were at number 7. And I just re-looked at the power rankings just because I wanted to see where they were at. They still have Denver at 13 and Minnesota at 9. So Minnesota stays higher on the power rankings even though they lost to Denver. And I don't know how, because these teams looked exactly the same and Denver won because they're the better team. And I feel like there's still a little bit of, yeah, but you were 1-5. And it's like, well, we didn't do that to the Vikings. They were 1-4. You know, I mean, when they went they went on a 5-game winning streak, everybody was excited to buy in and wear astronaut costumes. When Russ does it, we're like, he's supposed to be cringe. Like, what? Like, I do feel like there's a little bit of resentment because of who Russ is, and that's stupid because we're here to talk football, not talk about what they like to do when they're not in the football field. So I think Denver should be getting a little more credit. I thought that following this win, the story would be, oh, Denver's turning their season around, and that is a little bit what's going on. But there's also some of that was just an ugly game. 5 field goals is horrendous, you know, and
yeah,
I just don't know if the Vikings defense is really good. You know what I mean? You got to take the points when you can get them. I mean, they scored 21. Who cares how they did it? Who cares? 21 is a good amount.
Yeah, and as far as the power ranking things go, I don't know. Before that game, it makes sense. After that game, I don't know if the Vikings should be in the top 10. Honestly, to be honest, dude, I think the Broncos are kind of right where they're at, right? Like they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Bills, and the Vikings without Kirk Cousins and without Justin Jefferson without Justin Jefferson for all 5 of those wins and without Kirk Cousins for about 2 or 3 of those wins, like we're not expecting it or whatever, right? Everybody else on that team did what they were supposed to do, and that's kind of why they're a little bit higher. I don't know if it's the Russell Wilson thing, but Russ Wilson, he's looking good. He is looking good in these last 4 games on this win streak right now. He is looking really good. He's looking like a guy who knows exactly what he needs to do and when to do it, right? Again, we talked about the 5 field goals, and I think that's kind of what Sean Payton's talking about, right? Like we can improve. We can absolutely improve because you want to be able to go into the opponent's 35 and more and get a touchdown. They were unable to do so, but again, the smart thing that you do there is you get the points when they offer them to you. That's exactly why the Broncos were in that position to win the game at the end.
We're not good enough to not. That's the truth. We're not.
Exactly.
We can't afford that. We can't afford it. We may not come back.
Exactly, and that might be one of the reasons why they why they have the Broncos a little lower in the power rankings, right? Because the offense really isn't 100% working on all cylinders, right? You have to have Courtland Sutton get a toe tap touchdown last week. You have to have Russ Wilson in the 4th quarter move up in the pocket, still under pressure, and deliver that pass in the back of the end zone to Courtland Sutton. Like you have to get those 5 field goals.
Everybody needs that play. You could go back on everyone and be like, oh, you needed that flea flicker. And it's like, well, it's part of our game plan. I mean,
yeah, but was part of the game plan 5 field goals. That's what I'm saying. Like you needed to do that there. And I think that's why the improvement is Sean Payton saying we need to improve. Because out of those 5, you get a touchdown, you're already in the lead, no problem.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Exciting fucking game, though. I love that. And the Vikings with Joshua Dobbs, the Pastronaut, great story for 5 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it was that he started. Great story for them and the Vikings. They were able to win without Justin Jefferson, and Kirk Cousins was out in that 2nd, 3rd game of that win streak. Good for them, but they went up against a hungrier, better Broncos team, especially on the defense. What they were able to do on defense, the Broncos was great. They basically shut down the Vikings in that game.
Yeah, I mean they ran the ball really well for a while, and that was really frustrating. But
yeah, that's true.
Even like
that's the one thing. Yeah,
even the way they write about it here, like while they remain a long shot for the playoffs, the Broncos can't be ruled out. That's just kind of like what I'm talking about. Like, what do you mean we can't be ruled out? Why say it like that? Like you could, it's almost like saying like, okay, technically they could make it, but you know what I mean? And it's like, I understand, but are you talking about Cleveland or the Texans like that? Because we're 1 game behind them and we're playing both of them in the next 2 weeks. So if we win those 2 games, I mean, people will change the way they write, but it's stupid because now is the time to, stop the cap. You know what I mean? Like
stop the cap. Stop.
I mean, you're a
Cap.
500 football team on the largest win streak of any team in the NFL right now. Any team. Buffalo, Kansas City, Minnesota, Packers, and now they have Cleveland. If they beat Cleveland, what are they then? Nothing still? What about if they beat Houston? What if they beat Cleveland and then beat Houston and then beat the Chargers? Where would they be then?
What would they be? 8-5 at that point?
Yeah, but not like record-wise, but like
no.
Like,
I know what you're saying. 8-5 at that point.
8-5.
Like, if you're looking at seven
on a
straight
7-game winning
wins,
streak.
you're looking like a lock for the playoffs in the wild card.
Don't do that to me right now, dude.
Hey, they gotta win them first. I
know, but I feel like they're possible to win. That's the thing. I feel like they can beat those three teams, and we're gonna find out.
In the AFC, there is no division that's gonna have more than two teams in the playoffs. No division. This isn't the NFC East. Well, of last year, let's say that, right? The NFC East of last year. No, this time around, both conferences are not going to have more than two teams in their division in the playoffs. Like, it's just not going to happen this time.
Yeah, especially in the AFC, unless you're talking about the AFC North. The AFC North might still be able to have like three teams in the playoffs. Potentially.
Sure, but Kenny Pickett, like
Joe cat is scratching my door.
Joe Burrow is out for the season. Have zero trust in whoever they put a quarterback there. Kenny Pickett for the Steelers looks like shit. Will they have a winning season? Maybe, I guess, if Tomlin continues to do the things he does. But the Browns and the Ravens are a lock. The
Ravens are a lock.
The Ravens are a lock. The Browns, we'll see what happens. But in terms of the that is the AFC. The AFC South, Texans and Jaguars, okay, I could see that. AFC North, we talked about the AFC West, the Broncos and the Chiefs got that. The Bills and the Dolphins, dude, that's the one division I'm looking at where I'm like, I think maybe just one of those teams might be out of it. One of those teams are going to be out of it, whether it be the fraud Dolphins or the struggling Bills. I feel like one of those teams is going to be out of it.
Do you think it's going to be the Bills or the Dolphins?
Oof, this is a tough one to say. I still think that the Dolphins are playing with house money, so it might be the Dolphins that get out.
Okay, I can see it.
And I think that was part of my own segment from a few weeks ago. But yeah, dude, if the Broncos win 7 in a row, they're a lock for the wild card.
All right. So basically just need to get this next one and then we'll move on to Houston. And I think it's doable. I mean, really, it looks like the hard part of the schedule is like we're on the other side of it, which is very, very nice, right? It's
yeah.
At least there's no Buffalo or Kansas City coming up for us. You know what I mean? Imagine playing Kansas City next week after losing at home.
Yeah.
Oh, God, forget about it. I'm glad that that's over. In the current playoff picture right now, if the playoffs ended today, your number one seed would be Baltimore. They're 8-3. They haven't had a bye week yet. Kansas City has, so they're 7-3. That's the only reason Baltimore's number one. They have the same amount of losses, but Baltimore's played one more game. They have one more win. Jacksonville's tied with Kansas City. Jacksonville is the third seed because week 2, Jacksonville lost to Kansas City. They're both 7-3. Your fourth seed is Miami, 7-3. Your fifth seed right now is Cleveland. Your sixth seed is Houston, 6-4. And Pittsburgh at 7, who's 6-4. In the hunt, you have Buffalo, Indianapolis, Denver, Las Vegas, Cincinnati, all between 5-6, 6-5, and 5-5. So, I mean, Indianapolis is a team that we're not really talking about really at all, if you really think about it.
I think we should.
Yeah, I mean, they're just scoring a lot of points, but their defense has been pretty bad. But I don't think Vegas is going to make it. Cincinnati lost their quarterback. I don't think they make it. I don't think Indianapolis makes it. Pittsburgh, I don't think they make it. I don't think so because their offense is so bad. I do think Houston makes it. And I think Cleveland, without a quarterback, might be able to stumble out. So really, it's like, who's going to take the Pittsburgh spot? Well, I think Buffalo will. and I'm hoping Denver can take this spot from Cleveland. So you'd have Baltimore, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Miami, Denver, Houston, and Buffalo.
Ooh, it's looking hot. Playoffs looking hot.
Playoffs looking hot. And that wasn't even planned, but I just thought, at this time of the year.
Let's talk about it, yeah.
Let's talk about it a little bit. In the NFC, we won't because everybody's got 3 wins. So basically anybody can go as long as you brought your hall pass, you can go. No, but it's going to be real quick. I'll just say right now, I won't go as in depth, but for the NFC, your number 1 seed is the Eagles. Your number 2 seed is the Lions. Your number 3 is the 49ers. And your number 4 seed is the 5-5 Saints. Damn, Denver could be a lock in the playoffs right now with the same record if they were in the NFC South. That's crazy. Your 6th seed or your 5th seed is the Cowboys at 7-3. And the Cowboys are going to be that team that takes the wild card spot and pisses off all the other wild card teams because they're going to be like 10-4 or 12-4. Because there are going to be 2 teams with a high. But here's the other 2 that will be fought for: the Vikings, the 7th seed at 6-5, and the Seahawks at 6-4, the number 6 seed. And the teams on the fringe in the NFC, you got Green Bay. Oh wow, Green Bay's the 8th seed right now.
Yeah,
LA Rams tied with Green Bay, and they're both 4-6. You got 4 different 4-6
different teams, that
are 1 game away from the playoffs, dude. What the actual fuck? And they're 4-6, dude. What's crazy is about the Giants roll I talked about. If the Giants beat the Patriots, they're going to be 4-8, and I'm just saying, like, they're right there with everybody else.
If they get to 4-8 and the Commanders lose next week, they're tied for number 12 going into 11.
12, and they have the tiebreaker. So the tie actually takes the Giants. So the NFC, that's why I was like, dude, it's ridiculous. But why don't the Bears get the shit together with Justin Fields? Fuck it. It's the NFC.
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Not gonna happen. Because the NFC's too top heavy, dude. The NFC's way too top heavy. Who is in the playoff picture right now is probably whoever's in the playoff picture right now for the NFC is probably gonna make it. That's probably gonna make it.
You know what? I agree with that actually.
Yeah.
That's actually, you're right. I don't think any of these teams in the hunt are gonna take
unless
over.
The Vikings take a shit and the Packers and Jordan Love play like they did this past week and they keep going for another 7 weeks. That's the only team I could see making that jump.
Atlanta. You forgot about Atlanta.
I still don't trust Atlanta and Arthur Smith.
I know, but they're only 1 game. If the Saints lose and the Falcons win, then the Falcons would be the 4th seed.
Oh, okay. We're talking about divisions now. Okay,
so, So like Atlanta, fucking not just Atlanta, but Tampa too. I mean, that division is literally Tampa's and Atlanta have the same record. So the only team that's out in that division would be
the Panthers.
No, not Washington. Who's in that? The Panthers, right?
Yeah, because it's the Saints to lose, dude. It is the Saints NFC South to lose.
Atlanta.
100%.
Yeah. Who's the other team though? I'm trying to think.
It's Atlanta, the Saints, the Tampa Bay Bucks, and Panthers.
Yeah. Okay.
NFC South.
Yeah. The NFC South. Well, the Carolina Panthers are out, but 100%. Tampa, Washington, New Orleans, and Atlanta. No. Tampa and Atlanta and New Orleans are going to continue to battle. And that's anyone's division to win. So that'll be really fun because that's like when you have terrible football games in week 18, but the winner goes to the playoffs. All of a sudden we care a lot about the Tampa Bay Atlanta game. You know what I mean?
Then it becomes a fucking like actual showdown with meaning behind it. Kind of like the what was it like the Lions and Packers last year. Yeah, last regular season game. Like that becomes a must see, and it's like nobody saw that coming.
Seattle got in because the Packers got beat. All of that stuff starts to play. So this is a good time to at least give you, we're at past the halfway mark, getting to Thanksgiving, just 3 days away now. And this is
7
the way it's
more weeks.
looking.
7
And,
more weeks of football left, and we're giving you just a little peek at the playoff picture. But it's
But
still
if the
pretty
Bears-
exciting.
If the Bears win out, I'm just saying no. Like, I'm just saying if the Bears win out, they would be a 10-8 team, and they would in the NFC make the playoffs.
No, they'd be a 9-8 team, and they would not make the
You said there's
playoffs.
7 games left. They have 3 wins. That's 7 wins plus 3. That's 10.
Oh, I thought they already
Eight.
had 8 losses.
They would. Yeah, there's 18 games now.
No, they're
Or
3-8.
17
They,
games.
yeah, there's 7
Oh,
weeks
'cause
left,
you've
but they
already
haven't
had
had a
your bye.
bye.
They haven't
They
had
have
a
not
bye.
had the bye. They have not had the
That's
bye.
what
Yeah.
it is. Okay.
I'd be like,
okay.
they'd be 9-8. The math checks out.
You'd be 9-8. That's enough, I think, to get in.
No way.
I mean, no,
way.
you're right, because
No.
Seattle will be better than 9-8.
Yes.
But Dallas.
I
will definitely
think
be better than
Seattle will
9-8.
be better than 9-8. I have a
But
good
will
feeling that Seattle will
Minnesota?
be. The Cowboys will be better than 9-8. The Vikings.
There's only one spot available. It's the Vikings.
Yeah, that might be the only one.
Yeah, you need to start cheering for the Vikings to lose, and the
Oh,
Bears.
I've always been cheering for them to lose.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. All right.
Well, hopefully you guys liked our little playoff picture segment there. We're going to go right into the most controversial segment we have.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5.
Top five. Kyle? Top 5.
Top 5.
All right. This is easily my favorite segment just because there's always like a good healthy debate. Always a good healthy debate.
I love this segment.
I think you started off last week, if I'm not mistaken.
You know what's crazy is I would show you, but I can't. But I wrote my top 5 4 different times because I could not figure out how I wanted it to look.
This one was tough.
This one was tough. I'll let you start.
Yeah, I rearranged some. I will say I rearranged my top 5. It's not a huge change. It is not a huge change. So number
Everybody
5
put
for
a dog
me.
shit in the chat. Put a dog
Everybody
shit in
get
the
ready.
chat for Rick. Not changing his top 5, not bringing new content. Put a dog shit in the chat.
My number 5, Kyle. Are you ready for this? You're going to be so mad. You're going to be so goddamn mad. It's the Chiefs at number 5. Even after a loss on Monday Night Football, I still have the Chiefs with the second best or tied for the best record in the AFC, still atop their division, still number 2 in seeding in the playoffs. I still have the Chiefs at number 5. Marquez Valdes-Scantling catches that ball. The Chiefs are what, 8-2? 8-2?
No, then the Eagles come on the field and we and we get to
They've
watch.
been coming on the field. If Scantling catches that ball, we're singing a different tune about the Chiefs, not necessarily about the Eagles.
Need the tissue.
But let me just
For the
write that real
Eagles.
quick.
Apparently they've been coming on the field.
They've been coming. So I've got the Chiefs at number 5.
All right, at number 5, I have the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens. I think the Ravens are playing good football right now. I think they're the number 1 seed in the AFC, right?
Yep.
I do think that the way the top 5 works out is the NFC has probably a lot of my top 5 teams in it, but after that, it drops to like 15 and below. The AFC is like mostly AFC teams between 15 and 5, and only one team from the AFC actually even squeaks in my top 5, and I'll give you a hint.
High.
It's the Ravens.
You're fucking high. At number 4 for me, they just came away with a former players' team's victory. The Lions are my number 4 team in my top 5. They got their ass kicked by the Ravens, and ever since then, they have been better. Jared Goff did not have his best game against the Bears, but he had his best 4.5 minutes when it mattered because the Bears did not put the pedal to the metal and they let the Lions win. And the Lions took advantage. David Montgomery rushed for the game-winning touchdown. They had a strip sack of Justin Fields that went into the back of the end zone for a safety. That's exactly what you need to do when you're a team that's leading the division and you're going up against a division opponent, dude. You have to take those wins where you can get them. And in the clutch, the Lions were able to do so. That's why the Lions are number 4.
All right, at number 4, I got the Dallas Cowboys. I think the margin of victory that we're seeing from the Cowboys against lesser teams is really impressive to me. And I'm really looking forward to the challenges that Dallas is about to face. I think their next 4 teams are going to be really tough. So the beating up on the bad teams is over. And I think it's time for Dallas to prove to the world why they're at my number 4 spot.
All right. And I got the Cowboys at actually number 3 for my top 5. Again, you talked about them beating the bad teams. I've talked about them going 4-1 since that bad loss to the 49ers. Their defense has been really, really good. Dak has not thrown more than like 2 interceptions, I think, in a game. And so far he's kept it under double digits so far through week 11. You saw CeeDee Lamb, what he did for 3 games in a 3-game stretch. I think over 150 yards and a touchdown, something like that. Whatever I had said a couple weeks ago, this offense is clicking, man. And their defense, we talked about, what was his name? Laron. No. It was, where is he? DaRon Bland, 4 pick sixes this season. Their defense is humming, dude. And Micah Parsons with 2.5 sacks that game. That's why the Cowboys are my number 3.
No problem with that. Number 3, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought the Eagles looked good today. They beat up Kansas City. Not really. They actually barely won, and it came down to a drop pass. But ultimately, I don't think the Chiefs are that good, and I had the Eagles at number 1. But what I really wanted to see the Eagles do tonight was separate themselves from the Chiefs, and they weren't able to do that. And to me, it actually told me a lot more about the Eagles than it did the Chiefs. The Eagles dropped from 1 all the way to number 3. It's just where I'm at right now at this particular moment in time.
My number 2, I've got the AFC leading Ravens at number 2. Praise the purple, as I always say. This is the first time I've said that. Praise the purple. Lamar Jackson and this Ravens team is looking good in the run game. Lamar Jackson is doing just enough in the pass game. He doesn't have to do much when Gus Edwards is rushing for 2 touchdowns in the goal line stands. This defense is being super dominant, led by Roquan Smith, one of the leaders on that defense after just being traded there last year. He's become one of the leaders on defense. He's talking after post games. He is leading them in tackles. He's just kind of doing it all for them. And the Ravens, again, atop the AFC conference with an 8-3 record, just beat a division rival in the Bengals. Yes, it was without Joe Burrow, but again, what can you do? Joe Burrow was out of the game. What can you do? Ravens, my number 2.
Damn, dude. I guess that means we have the same number 1.
I don't think so.
All right, well then we'll go to number 2. I got the Detroit Lions.
Oh my God, you're high.
I'm gonna tell you why, and I knew that you were gonna struggle with this. The reason why is because every time I see Dan Campbell, I just believe that he is the kind of coach that I was talking about, like AP, like his players will fight for him.
Yeah,
and that roster is they're like the Eagles top to bottom. And the last 2 games, Detroit has looked not that great, right? I mean, they got in a shootout and, needed their offense to win last week, but they won the game, and they used to lose those kinds of games. This week, their defense steps up when they need them to, and they win a game they shouldn't have won. So, I really, really value a team that can be imperfect and find a way to win. Like when your bad day at the office doesn't even result in a loss, that is a team to be scared of, in my opinion. I think when the Lions are playing their best football, there's only one team that can really play with them at this point.
And it is my number 1. It's the Eagles, because the Eagles are coming out, and yes, they barely won against the Chiefs. Their only loss has been a Jets game that was very perplexing. But you're talking about a 1-loss team in week 11, 9-1. The Eagles, again, we talked about how slow they came out this first half against the Chiefs. They made the adjustment in the second half. They came out with the dub. That's what they've been doing all season, man. We talk about how the Eagles are not who they were last year. They're coming out with wins regardless. And in the playoffs, with the amount of talent they have, if you can squeeze out wins, that's probably the most important part. It doesn't matter how you do it in the playoffs. What matters is that you get to the Super Bowl and you're able to get those dubs. That's why I got the Eagles at number 1.
All right. So I do got the top 5 rolling on the bottom. That is my top 5, and that is Rick's top 5. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Got the Broncos as number 1 for me. Get the fuck out of here.
Thank you guys for tuning in to our top five. Rick,
Trash.
love your picks, man. I think the Ravens at 2, whatever, but the Broncos at number 1. That's going to be an interesting one. We'll see how it unfolds when they play Cleveland, who was your number 1 2 weeks ago. So this is going to be a really, really good week for everybody.
God's quite literally high.
Yeah, no denying that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Top 5.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5.
All right, Kyle. Let's start with the Chives.
We've definitely gone through some tests, gone through some trials. It's been a hard season, been some good too. And we're always going to find the good. And I think the best thing that we can do is continue to believe in one another. These fans were unbelievable tonight. We needed them. And we needed them all here to continue to support. And we're going to turn this thing around. We're going to do it with great diligence, great work ethic, great togetherness, and belief. And that's how we're going to get it done. And it's going to be an amazing story when we do.
What a video. And I said this, in my head, I was like, when Russ was saying that song was playing in his head. He's like, this is gonna be so sick when they play this back.
Dude, I will say this, okay? That press conference happened after week 17 when the Chargers decided that they were going to play Justin Herbert, even though they already clinched the playoffs, because as Staley said, we value momentum going in the playoffs more than safety. Well, he didn't say it like that, but that's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
He was thinking, I want my team to beat Denver. Denver, no head coach, nobody out there, beat the Chargers week 17. And that was kind of like in Denver, week 17, the whole stadium shows out, even though you got 3 wins on the season and it's been a total shit show with Nathaniel Hackett. You still sell out the crowd. You get a very emotional win at home. And you go to the press conference and you say, we're going to turn around because we believe in each other. And you say all those things, but it turns into a cliche. Then you start the season 1-5. And you get beat by teams, like the Raiders and Commanders, and you go to Miami and lose by 70. And you just start going, holy shit, dude, this whole thing's a joke. And then you beat the Packers, you beat the Chiefs, you beat the Bills, you beat the Vikings. And all of a sudden, you hear an old cliche thing that used to just, that's the way he talks. And you go, holy shit, he was telling the truth. Holy shit. He was not kidding about that unwavering belief. And it was just a great throwback for this time because, look, I don't know how long this feeling is going to last, but being 5-5, Denver hasn't been on a 4-game winning streak. This is my Chives. Denver hasn't been on a 4-game winning streak since 2016, the year after they won the Super Bowl. And they were 4-0 to start the season. Week 5, they went on to play the Bengals, and they lost that game and would go on to lose like all the rest of their games. So that's a bad omen to bring up, right? But the following year, the Bengals went on to win the Super Bowl. So Denver might lose and
win. Make an appearance.
They might lose, but if they do win, this will be the first 5-game winning streak since we won the Super Bowl.
Jesus Christ. Since 2016, they have now won 4 games in a row. They're about to make it 5, Kyle. They're about to make it 5 since
Let's go.
2015. Let's go. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're trying to add those videos in, kind of like how they did with Russ there with the Chives. So I hope you guys enjoyed the extra little bit of production value you get here on Only Football Channel with Kyle and I.
Rick's production value, $1. Rick's production value. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh God, I hope the Broncos lose now. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Bill, Jim, Edub, keeping it alive in the comments. We always appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, not only to this, but our live stream of Monday Night Football. We're going to be back again on Thursday Night Football, followed by our Week 12 prediction episode. So make sure to stay tuned for the primetime game, and then afterwards, our regularly scheduled episode. You could follow me on Twitter at @AndNowRick, and you can follow the Only Football page at OnlyFootballKR. Kyle, where can they follow your vape smoking ass on Twitter?
You can follow me at FTBLONLYPODCAST on Twitter for all of my Denver Broncos NFL injury updates, scorekeeping, everything that you guys could want, I can give.
Anything.
All
right. Well, thank you guys so much again for tuning in. Make sure to like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. We're trying to get to 500 so we can start super chat subscriptions, maybe a store. We've got some exciting stuff coming up ahead with a possible not promotion. What am I talking about? A possible.
Did you just give me a promotion?
Sponsorship. Possible sponsorship coming up soon. So exciting things coming up. Kyle's actually getting demoted. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you guys again for everybody who tuned in. Kyle, great episode, brother. And it's always a good time seeing you.
Always. Thank you guys. Thank you, the chat. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for all of Monday Night Football and then coming in here. Love all the comments. I was thinking, Edub, I was wondering in my head, I'm like, why is he putting all these random names together? But you know what? He's helping our algorithm. He's making the comment have a lot of comments. And for that, I wanted to make sure that I told you I appreciate that. And Bill, always love having you in here. And like you said, the guy that controls the ticker controls all. And and I will continue to manipulate Rick into picking the Broncos at number 1 for the rest of this show. Always a good time. No,
Ticker's lying.
Ticker's not
lying.
lying.
Lies.
No.
The ticker lies. The ticker is lying, and so is Kyle. But hey, we're still gonna do this podcast come Thursday night.
All right, y'all. See you.